Autobots, prepare to board the shuttles. This new menace is more dangerous than all the Decepticons put together. Somehow we must destroy it before it devours Cybertron.
Welcome back to the Titanium Hangar. This is Mike, and today I want to talk to you about the XTransbots MX-86 City Commander Stacks. This is their take on a very G1-esque masterpiece, Ultra Magnus, and he looks pretty good. He is a very solid upgrade to some of the other ones that we've had in the past, but I'm going to talk about this in detail. Now, this is something I did get at Show Z. You can get yours there too at Show Z store. I'll have a link down below, and of course remember, put in TH for the reviewer code to help me out, capital T, capital H. But anyway, let's take a look at this figure and see if they improved on it from the first run. Coming up! Here's the box, and it looks pretty good. I like the artwork on it. You get to see the actual figure, so it's not one of those things where you don't know what you're getting, but it's interesting. It's like really, really small picture of a really big bot. So there's a side. You get to see some like digital kind of line work there. You get to see just artwork on the back, and you get a tech spec. He should be like up there with Prime and stuff with all the tech specs. You get some writing if you can read the fancy writing that's going on right there. Yeah, decent box. Okay, so right out of the box, he is a nice looking figure. He's got quite a bit of paint on him everywhere. Feels very premium and really tight ratchets and tight everything going on. He is a little mistransformed. You kind of need to move these arms around and then adjust the hands the way you want them, however you want those hands, because they are kind of sideways. I'm sure they do that to protect it in shipping, but I'm not sure why they do this with the legs. It really doesn't make sense. So with the legs right out of the box, it looks like this side, for whatever reason, this is how it would be in the alt mode, and then on this side, this is how it's supposed to look. So you have to go through quite a bit of untransforming him to kind of get all of this to work properly. But yeah, moving some of this stuff around and just getting this separated, and then moving this to the back to get that into place. You got to kind of put this. It's like a tab you got to get into place at the same time that you're closing this up. So it is a little fiddly, frustrating, I guess you could say, to just get that piece in there just right. It seems like something that would be really, really simple. But with XTransbots, of course, it's not. Now, there's a lot to this transformation too. So just getting it set up to use is a little bit of work right out of the box. But you got to like untab the lower leg and then put it all back together and then tab it all back in, and then it looks right. But I think it makes a huge difference to do it the right way. Let's take a quick overview of this guy and kind of hit the transformation later, but hit the articulation piece and also talk about why is this a 2.0. It's not really a 2.0, but it's the second run, and I kind of feel like it's a 2.0. Here's the head side to side, a little bit up and down, and he does a lot. We can pop this off and change faces, pretty simple. And with that, there's also a light-up gimmick that I'm not going to use in the head. Shoulder goes out to about there, and then you get a little more with this extra ratchet in there. So that's kind of interesting how they did that. And then it goes 360. This is an issue. This is part of why I think that they sold out so fast. I think they stopped producing or stopped shipping them, and they started fixing some or something, because this figure sold out really fast on the first run, and this is theoretically the second run of them, and I think they fixed something with the shoulder. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't, I don't know, but I'm not going to test fate, and I'm going to be as careful as I can with the shoulders. But if you flip them around one direction too many times, it comes unscrewed, and then it doesn't hold on right. So that's a serious issue. I think they've corrected it, but I don't 100% know. Okay, you do have this bicep swivel, and then it's not double jointed on the elbow, but I don't know how they could have pulled that off. Yeah. Anyway, the hands, we kind of saw what they did before, but they move around in here, and then you can kind of get 2 points of articulation for each finger, which is fine, and they feel solid, kind of just what you expect, and then a little bit in and out with it too, so that's okay. Getting out here to the waist, now he does have quite a bit of like Magic Square ab crunch kind of stuff going on. So Magic Square level ab crunch, it does kind of suck to compare masterpiece companies, even XTransbots to Magic Square, but they kind of are the king of ab crunch, of course, side to side, unlike a Seeker. And then you have these hip skirts, which I hear are problematic also, but I haven't had any issues yet, so pretty nice. Now this is one thing that kind of got me. He does kind of go out pretty far. It is super tight, but it's not ratcheted, I don't think. It doesn't feel ratcheted. It feels just super tight friction. I don't know if that's gonna give over time, but that's so tight. I'm in a way a little impressed, but also a little bit scared that over time. This is die cast right here and painted, so it looks really nice. And so articulation of the knee is just a 90, not double jointed. And I'm not gonna tempt it too much fate with this guy, because I've heard a couple of QC issues, and I want to just be able to say, hey, I didn't have any. Well, I treated it right and didn't have any problems. But then you have the ankle, which the ankle you kind of have to, I don't want to say manhandle, but you have to loosen it from this whole section to get the ankle to do what it's supposed to do. And if you clip it back up in there too tight, it's gonna like hold in there. So that's just kind of the way it is, but you do get some articulation in it. So with that overall, I think they might have fixed some stuff on this since the first run, and it's also cheaper, $165. The first run was $200, so $165 is an excellent price for this figure and for how it looks. And here he is from the back, which he's pretty clean. If you look at the back of him, for the back of a Masterpiece Transformer, that's really clean. That looks pretty nice. Which you pay the price, though, in the transformation with a million different little panels, a million different things, little things going on with it. Now, this is where you would push it for it to talk. If I can get some before I upload this video, if I can get the batteries for it, I'll just slap them in there and we can see what that sounds like, all that kind of stuff. But I'm really low on those batteries, those small batteries, and I guess I just didn't realize he was going to have all these electronics in him and need a bunch of batteries. But another thing about him, he has this feature right here. So if you gently untab this, there's 2 tabs and 2 slots, and then you open this up. And I honestly don't know, when you open this up, you've got this matrix. We'll look at it. But I was looking at this thinking, this sort of interior detail here should probably pop off and then maybe get added to the outside so that you can have some sort of windows on the outside there. And I don't know. I don't know what's going on with that. Maybe it's just to look like it's got some detail on the inside. I'm not sure. But anyway, if you want to get the matrix out, you just kind of drop it. It does not hold in very well. It opens a slight minimal degree, and it's tabbed into it. You could glue that to hold it in a little bit better, but I don't think anyone's really going to be doing much with it. There is some detail in there in that compartment, which is kind of nice, but let's go ahead and get this guy closed back up. It would have been nice to have some windows on there, and we're going to see, comparing it to what Takara did. Yeah, I think it would add a little bit of something if there was windows. I just don't see an option for that. But anyway, still, it would have been kind of cool, but it's not something they included. And at the end of the day, it's not the end of the world, but it would have added a little pizzazz. Maybe if there's a way to clip some little transparent looking pieces over it, would have been nice. Anyway, so also getting into that, we do have these over here, these missile launcher things. There's some articulation to them, and you can see they're going to move around and be dual positioned in the alt mode, and they look nice. And of course, if you want it to aim up or down, all that kind of stuff. And so very, very classic G1-esque, as we've grown to expect from XTransbots. He doesn't come with a ton of accessories, but he has a bunch of different heads, like a ooh and a whatever, a more stern look than he's even already got. Maybe it's a slight smile than whatever this one is, yelling. And then there's this one that I'm going to put on. So I'm going to show you how to swap them out real quick. Now, of course, people like to use spudgers. I just use my nail. Just slide that out and then slide this off. And then we're going to slide this other one on. Now, you can swap out the eyes. They have swappable eyes if you want him to have the translucent eyes, which we have right here, for the light up version. So you can, just depending on which head you use and which one he's got like bigger eyes and stuff, then you would use that different eye adapter piece. And there's that face in place, and then just replace his head mask. And with that, I don't know, I like that one a little bit better. He's kind of got an open mouth, and yeah, that looks pretty good versus his other one. This is actually where you would put the batteries in, which I don't have. They're super tiny, but you would, behind the face, you would unscrew these two screws, pull it off, and put in those tiny, ultra tiny, slim batteries. I used to have all of those in an accessory pack or like a variety pack of batteries, but I've used them all over the years. He does have two more accessories. He has this gun, which is painted pretty well, and it's, for whatever reason, screwed together, so it's got a screw in it. That's interesting. A couple of screws in it. And it will hold together as you can store it in his alt mode. The other thing you get is this minifigure. And I got two minifigures, so XTransbots double likes me. Well, you know, if XTransbots makes a mistake and it helps me out, that's fine. But this figure is pretty much exactly what we've grown to expect from what we got with the Virtus. And yeah, my fingernail, you can see all the red paint from this project I've been working on the last couple days, but it did not come from the figure, so it's not from him. His paint's not bleeding out of my hand, but cool looking figure, a nice little addition from the Only Human episode and all that kind of stuff. And I think they're going to just keep doing these as they go. This little statue. Alright, so the first comparison is going to be to the G1. The original G1 is a super bulky brick looking dude, and we are getting this, or I think they already put it out, in this coloration. So with the G1 colors, and it actually looks pretty good in the G1 colors also, so pretty nice. Here he is next to the Takara offering from like 8 years ago or something along those lines, and the Takara one I always felt was a little bit too bulky. This one still kind of got some bulk in the lower legs, as you can see, but the Takara one is bigger, beefier, bulkier, especially in the midsection. And I just, in my mind, this looks closer. I wish the lower legs were just a little bit thinner, but this is really, really close, and probably the closest we're going to get, because Fans Toys is going to be a bot inside of armor, which I kind of think is the way it should be, but you can't get it quite as thin in the waist. So anyway, that's how those look. I do want to show the large, gigantic butt flap that we got with Takara and the kind of mess and how clean this is. But this transformation is probably like, I don't know, a quarter or a tenth as frustrating and complicated as this guy. But you get what you get out of it, and you pay the price, you know. Okay, here he is next to the Fans Toys Quietus, their version of Cyclonus. These go head-to-head against each other simply because they do in the movie, and that looks nice. The XTransbots one, I have it, but it's just too deep in my display to try to wrestle out, so. Okay, so we're going to look at a few different prime options here. So this is MP44, and this is the new Magic Square 2.0, which I think is these are the two best options that are out there. So, in my opinion, if you're going to go for Prime, MP44 KO, and the Magic Square, those two just look the best to me on the shelf so far. There's Magic Square 1.0 and Transform Elements, so they can side by side. If you have those, this is what it's going to look like. Here's how he's going to scale. I think the scale is fine. I think he's around the right size, around the right height. I don't think I'd want him any bigger than this. For those still rocking an MP10 mold, this is the one I've got, the chrome version. Looks pretty good. And, of course, fits. And, you know, this one here is kind of bulkier. So, as you can see, they both kind of have that bulk with them. Trying to keep all these big bots in frame here. This is the XTransbots Virtus, and this one here is Fans Toys Apache. Just, you know, whichever one you like the most, or whichever one you have, this is how it compares. And there's some options for a Movie 86 shelf if you have the MP09. That's the KO of the Takara, which she's quite perky. This one here is XTransbots. That's XTransbots. And these two, Takara and Hasbro's new core class. So looking good overall as a team. Yeah, it works really well. Those are the phrases. If you get some batteries and put in their LR44s into the back, and when we open it up, we do the transformation, I can kind of show that, but let's now go ahead and get into the transformation. So with this transformation, it is a little bit complex, and I do want to kind of speed it up a little bit. So I'm going to start with one side done and then do the other. So kind of this is what I want it to look like, and we're going to make this side look like that. I think that's I don't know, we'll try it, see how that works. But anyhow, getting into this, we want to separate this piece here. We want to unclip it. Well, we can unclip this top part, but then unclipping this arm, and it clips in pretty good. So it's tabbed in right there. Got that undone. And then from here, we're going to lift this all up. And then, let's see, there's a little tab here for some reason. And then we're going to fold this forward. Now, one thing that I think's kind of cool about this is just kind of get this missile inside here and get it out of the way for now, just for now. And that will just tab right back in like so. And we got the missile sort of out of the way, so it's not going to be in the way all this time. So a few things that we're going to do with this. We can fold this tab in, and then we're going to pull this part. Well, we can go ahead and undo this first. And it's so long, it's hard to keep on camera. So that just opens up and then closes up, and that's fine. And then we're going to extend this. You can see like right in here, it's an extension bit. And got to pull it out like so, and then we want to kind of align this. So this is a typical kind of Ultra Magnus transformation, and yeah, that's how he looks. So we want to align all of this so that when his arms swing over, this is the top part, and so that's kind of how we're going to do all of that. And there's going to be a whole lot more. Now we got to get into the legs. I'm going to do the same thing with the legs, and then we're going to kind of like make the cab and all that kind of stuff. I hope doing a transformation this way is helpful, but anyway, this is kind of how we're going to do the other leg. This is what the other leg is going to look like, and it seems simple enough to get done. But we're going to get this out of the way because this stuff here is going to get used, but you can see everything in these next steps on how we do this. This is kind of strange because he just he doesn't really explode out, but he does sort of move out. Okay, we're going to open this here, and then we're going to pull all of this out, pull that foot down a little bit. We're going to open, expose all this good stuff in here. We do need to get this stuff here out of the way. So yeah, basically we're opening all this up and getting out of the way and trying to keep it in frame. Easier said than done, and it's hard to balance this guy with all that's going on with him. But anyhow, so that comes up there, and we are going to move around to try to get all this stuff to make some sense. We are going to fold this foot down, but it's a little tricky, and there's a lot to that. And then on the front here, before we do anything, we need to untab this and get this out of the way so that we can work with all of this. And it's a little fiddly, but I mean, I kind of like the idea of what they're going for here. It's kind of interesting how they're doing this, but this piece here is on a spring, and as you fold it up, this piece here, let's see if I can get it. This piece is pushing in this spring as you fold it around. So it's kind of something that I don't know, you might want to help it. It just seems like something that's not as smooth as it could be, but I still kind of like the idea of it. There it goes, and with all the stuff in the way. As you can see, it just kind of folded all in on itself, which is kind of cool. At this point, there's a lot going on and hard to see. There's this little piece here that you're going to fold out, fold it in kind of a gap filler. So we can get the gap filler done right now, and we really don't need to do anything with all of this just yet. This is going to be later on, but we kind of got an idea of what everything's doing that we got going on here. We're going to fold this around, and then that sort of tabs into place right here. Come on, tab into place. And then we're going to fold this over and around like so. And then this is going to come up and tab into the back right here. And we're not quite done yet. We got to finish with a lot of this other stuff on the bottom side here. And so this is going to come up and around. And this, all this other stuff here is going to fold up. And we'll go up and around. And at this point, we can kind of set him up like he's sort of standing. And then, so there's a tab in this red piece that's going to tab right in like so. And then all of this other stuff is, we're just going to get it ready to go for what's going to happen in the, like when we tab it all together. So these come down, this folds out, this whole unit here folds around, and then this starts to form the wheel. Now with this wheel, it's going to kind of come inward and form part of the cab. So it's part of the shell forming cab. So that is a thing that we're going to see later on. That's not a thing we really have to worry about right now. So lucky for us, right? So there we go. Sort of got it ready to go into the next part. Now, the next part is kind of tricky. All right, so this is all its own thing. You want to untab this, which is holding in this whole section here. And the same thing over here. And I find it just easy to grab underneath the red piece, and then maybe a little bit on the top. And that's really held in with some serious amount of friction. And so we're going to fold that out. And then if we come down here, or kind of look from the top, we're going to pull down, lift up on this. There are some tabs holding it in, which this is kind of like you're bending stuff past stuff to get this freed up here a little bit. It shouldn't be that hard. Okay, you get that up out of the way, and then with this, pull this all the way back, and then we can start lifting up. So you lift up on this. Mine seemed to come undone nice and easy, but you have this piece here that was tabbed in. There's a lot of stuff that was tabbed in that I guess putting the batteries in, I didn't push them in that hard, so it didn't even need to be pushed in that hard to hold together. But you're going to unfold all of this stuff here and start building the cab and folding all this out. Now, this is where the batteries go. So, and I lost a screw in mine, so. All right, let's start building this cab, which is kind of crazy. So, I don't know if I'm going to keep all this on camera. So you just start unfolding all of this stuff and building this strange, crazy shell-forming cab that's got going on here. Okay, so this piece here is on a slider, and it's going to come out, and then you're sort of doing the back, and so we're going to kind of just do the same stuff going on with all of this. Here is another tab, which, did I not fold that up? Did not fold that up. So that is getting the top of the cab done. Same thing right here, tabbing all of that in, and then so we've got this part started, and then this is going to come up and over. Okay, this is going to be a problem down the road, and I guess we need to go up with it a bit. This is going to be a problem down the road if we don't get this here pushed in and aligned right now. And there we go. Get that all aligned. It's interesting, you have part of the windshield wiper on the lower and part on the upper. And then so much going on with this guy all at once. Hard to keep it in frame, but kind of getting the general idea of building your shell former pieces here, along with the fact that you got some slider pieces going on and all of that. There's a tab right here. And we're going to be tabbing all this stuff in like so. It's going to probably come untabbed until at the end we have to like tighten it all up. But there's like little reverse tab kind of things going on. Also down here, we're going to need to pull these out, and somehow I got that behind there. So these pieces on the bottom need to come out so that we can start solidifying the front and the bottom like that. And then we have this piece here These here are going to come out, and this is going to rotate around, and then we're going to see it again on this side. So it is quite a bit of stuff going on all at once, trying to make it all work. That feels like I'm going to be having to move something past something. Let me work on that just a second. I guess it's going to be best to go back this direction and pull these pieces over that before we go back to what's going on over here. So really a little fiddly. I mean, it's not the end of the world. It's not probably the worst transformation in the world, but there's a lot going on with it. And some people are going to like this ultra complex. Some people are going to like this ultra complex type of transformation. I, on the other hand, just like a simple, quick, and easy, but that's just me. Just find it easy, I guess, working on this thing upside down. So what happens, you end up needing to fold this piece here around to cover this as another gap filler kind of thing. This folds in like so, and then this piece here folds out. So just a ton of pieces, but a ton of tabs, and so once it's all together, it's going to hold together a little bit better. Probably not the best in the world, but there's also, from another angle, you can see the other side working on it. If you want to see it from another angle, getting this piece out, and there's more or less the cab getting done. That's crazy. That's crazy. All right, so really for the rest of this cab, you're basically gonna tuck it in like this and pull the wheels out and stuff, but we need to kind of maneuver it properly. So lift this all up like by the ab crunch, and then we are going to position this to where it positions properly. There we go. I guess that didn't pop up earlier. And then this tabs into here. If we can keep that from flopping down on me. And then tab this in to here. Then you have to get this piece here out, and you probably got to get the party started popping it out, but this is going to be used later on. Alright, so let's flip it all over and lay it down, and so we are going to adjust the camera here. Now, still looks like kind of a mess, but we can kind of see what's going on with this, and it's going to turn into the truck mode. Now, there's a few things. First of all, we have the smokestacks that need to come out right here, and easier said than done, but probably gonna need to use some sort of a tool to get to that and fold it up. Do the same thing on the other side. Hold it in place, tab it up. There it goes. Now with all this fun stuff going on, we're going to fold this up and position the head, which I think it really matters where the head is. We're going to fold this over and tab all of this in, and that's a fun wild ride there. And let's see it from another angle. And we're going to start just tabbing all of this stuff in, tabs into tabs and stuff, and it'll solidify a bit. Probably not as much as you like, but it will solidify as you go around tabbing it in. And just kind of messing with it and pushing in on it. A lot of tabs just tabbed in together on their own. Now we need to work on these wheels on the bottom. So you pull these wheels down, they're on a slider, and then you slide the slider up, and then you're going to put them into place and tab them in like so. Had to quickly just kind of pop that wheel well back in. I don't know why that came down like that, but anyhow, there we go. Let's get these tabbed in. Come back here to the leg. There's this tab that needs to come out, and I kind of feel like I'm undoing stuff to do stuff, but anyway, we're going to tab it together, and it tabs together, and it clips together. All of that good stuff right there. Then we're going to start putting this guy together. All right, so laying it out so things kind of make sense. You got to fold this stack around, and then there's like the tank, the fuel tank, and then there's also a little piece that we'll get that in a bit, but a little piece of the tank that needs to come out. So we're going to fold this around, and then there's this white piece that is a filler, and it's going to connect to come down, and more tabbing that's going to have to go on. Then the arm piece here, you lift up on this, flip this arm piece around, and then we have that going on. There's also another filler piece on the inside that needs to come out. Get my fingers on that. And that's going to come out. And then I'm just scared about you doing anything with these shoulders. Now, you can put these in the front, which we're going to do for the first, and then we'll convert it around at the end. I think it's just going to make it easier to have the first configuration going on right there. And then all this kind of sort of spread apart, so we got to get it back together the way it should be, and tabbed back all in the way it should be. And this is going to come around and connect into here. And there's a whole lot of stuff that's going to be tabbing in. So a lot more stuff to happen with this guy. This is going to connect to here like so. These pieces are going to fold out, and it's going to start coming together nice and easy. Now that we got it this far, it's just a matter of tabbing stuff and solidifying it all. So that's the plan. This is going to tab into here and all this kind of stuff. So let's look around to the other side. So basically did the same thing to the other side. Now we got to get in here with all of this, and we have to start doing the tabbing. So we're going to open this up and fold this into here, and there's going to be some tabbing going on with this. And this other support piece that we pulled out earlier, it's important that, because it's going to tab into here as this tabs into here and all of that jazz. Not the easiest thing in the world, but not impossible. There we go. Kind of sliding this up and under. All right, I was tabbing something in and like 9 things popped out at once. Okay, so one of the things we need to do to finish this up, and I'm just going to say I hear these are some challenging points here, but you need to plug this gun in, and there's slot here and then a hole, I think right here. And so I plugged into one side, plug it into there, and it'll add some stability to it. There's these 2 tabs right here. They plug in, and then we can tab this tab into the side, and then the other one on the other side. Just don't do that too tight. I hear that it's hard to get them out, and I believe that's true. Also right here, this tab that goes into here, I've used a reasonable amount of force. I couldn't get it in, so I'm just going to kind of lay it because I pushed in as hard as I could that I felt like was reasonable, and past that something was going to break. But they do kind of hold in with friction, so I don't like that. I feel like I have to press that so hard to get it in there. And I'm done. Maybe it's not fully transformed perfectly, but I'm actually done messing with it. It looks good enough for me. This is not a fun transformation. Looking at this in alt mode, for the most part, it holds together solid. I got a couple tabs that still won't hold, and I don't know. That's kind of a frustration. But aside from it, it looks pretty good. This tab here doesn't want to seem to hold on me. And now the door is wanting to cave in. I was wanting to open the door. It does have opening doors, which is kind of cool stuff. So yeah, if you could put like a minifigure in there or something like that, something along those lines. Looking at it from the front. Okay, so this is something that I did, and I don't think anyone else has done, but you can put the missiles in the front if you want. Now I know everybody probably wants the missiles on the side, so you do have to kind of pull it apart and move this, untab this, move this around, tab that back in, and then you've got your side missiles if that's a thing that you want. Which I do think that's a thing that everybody wants for the most part, but I figured it's, options are nice to have. And then you want to put these little, arrow pieces to the top. So the cab does look really nice. If you can get all the pieces to stay together, you can get these side view mirrors out also. And maybe they can help you open the doors just a little bit if that's something that you want to do. And you've got your smokestacks in there and all that kind of stuff. And the red on the front bumper. So looking kind of cartoon, very cartoonish. So this does look nice. I mean, it's a nice looking alt mode once you get there, and if you can kind of keep all the parts where they're supposed to stay. And I don't know. I'm not convinced that tab's actually supposed to tab all the way in there. But anyhow. So it does look great, and you can have some interconnectivity with other figures and that kind of stuff. Looking at the back of this, and you do have this ramp, and so this is something that you can do. Push this down, untab it, and push it down, and then get them on there. I feel like I got a bit of a gap between the rails, but I see that with pretty much everyone else, so that's got it on pictures and stuff, so I'm not too worried about that. I wonder if I can narrow that little gap filler up, make it a little higher. So we've got XTransbots Arcos that can just roll into there, and then let's see how many we can fit in this thing. This is XTransbots, is it Savant? A little bit chunkier of a dude to go in there, but it goes in there, sort of. Then we could close these up, then we could put a few other figures up top if we would like, and make it look like this. Fans Toys' second attempt at trying to beat XTransbots and failed, called their Sea Spray, but they call that their Spindrift 2.0. And then we've got here the MMC version, which is now like second, third tier version of that character. So looking at that, that looks nice. I think that looks really nice the way it is set up like so. If I can get all tabs to hold just right and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it gets the job done. Looks pretty good. Let's see some comparisons. Here he is next to MP44KO, which of course that thing, have trouble keeping that thing together too. So they're like brothers in this whole game. And yeah, that looks pretty good. I can also compare it to a Magic Square. And there it is, my thoughts on the alt mode. Wow, a lot of work for 5 minutes of showing it in alt mode. Wow. So this is my look at XTransbots Commander stack, and this isn't the first time that they made one. KFC made a Citizen stack, which I thought was too stylized for my liking. I'm glad they went Super G1 with this guy. I think they've done a fantastic job. He looks really good. The paint's really nice. And I feel like they've somewhat addressed the quality issues from the first batch. And I'm glad that they put it out. I'm glad they gave me an extra minifigure. I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but it's going to be a lot of fun to have it. And the electronics are nice. I don't think they're necessary. And I think I'm starting to switch over to the side that we don't need electronics. If we get a lower price point, the electronic gimmicks are probably just going to be a waste and make it a little bit more expensive. But I do want to say that the transformation is a bit of a pain in the butt. It's really long, but it's rewarding, and it's the price that we pay. I mean, this is where we're at to get perfection in both modes. So anyway, I did get this at Show Z. I'm going to have a link down below where you can get yours. I'm really glad I got this one, and I'm actually really glad I got the second production run. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like and subscribe. Tell your hang around.
We'll do everything we can for Spike.
And what are we going to do when
Get the Dinobots in the shuttle!
I'm trying to get them into the shuttle, Ultra Magnus, because I know he can't launch the shuttle until I get them into the shuttle, but I can't seem to get them into the shuttle. It's not possible.
Face it, Magnus. The Decepticons are going to dog us until they see us dead.
Then that's exactly what they're gonna see.